Good morning, y'all. It's Sherry with Country Couponing Chicks, and I am outside doing a little bit of watering in my garden. This is just one of my beds to the side, trash can, to the side of the garage. And it has been here since I moved in, and it's got boulders all the way around it. And it's sort of a kidney shape, I guess you'd call it. And it has these great big, huge rhododendrons on the side of it, and then we have planted a few other things in here, and let me tell you, this year it has just taken off, and I have all these beautiful purple irises here, and they've already bloomed. I am going to leave the foliage because I honestly love greenery and foliage. It's one of my favorite things, and it looks so good. I'm just going to leave it. And then I also have a couple of different kinds of hostas. I cannot tell you the names of these hostas, but these are sort of common varieties. As you can tell, these two are a little bit different. This one is more of a rounded shape, and it's a little bit lighter, a little bit more of a paler green color. And this one has a little bit sharper pointed leaves, but they look beautiful together, and they're just going like crazy this year. And these, I have more boulders down here, and you can't hardly see them, for the evening primrose, and more of the purple irises, which also have already done their due, but once again I'm going to leave them. And then I have a crepe myrtle here that started out just as a small little stick, and I like to keep it kind of bushy, so we cut the top out of it so that it will get puffier and bushier. I may start taking some of the bottom limbs out this fall so that it will grow up more like a tree, but I want to let it get really good and established. We just put it out a couple years ago, and I just want you to see this evening primrose. Now, it is an invasive plant, as you can see. I only planted a couple of pots of this. I think this is the third year that it's been in the ground, and it has absolutely gone insane from a couple of pots. I have not spread it myself. It drops its seeds and it spreads itself. I've got a little lantern back in there which you can hardly see, but I love them, and I have no intentions of getting rid of them. Now, I do deadhead them quite a bit because they will rebloom later on, and let me get a little bit closer. As you can see, they all have a number of flower pods on them, so these will just keep blooming and keep blooming. I call them my little ballerinas because they absolutely just dance so gracefully around the garden. And once again, a big grouping of the purple irises that I will be keeping. And down here in this little, I call them strawberry pots, I picked up one piece of a cactus leaf that had fell off of someone's cactuses at a yard sale a couple years ago, and I just put it in this pot and pretty much left it alone, and it has already grown more leaves, and I have got a couple more coming on, and I'm hoping that one of these will be a flower, and they make a beautiful flower. All right, let me come on around to this side. Now, I do have a really nice concrete urn there that I will be planting with some annuals, hopefully this weekend. I love to have at least some color in here, and I have a light that the crepe myrtle's knocked over, so I'll be checking that and see if it still works, and that way I'll have a little bit of light coming through here. And more of the huge hostas. These weren't anything like this last year. They have gotten so big. And I have another cactus leaf that died on me, and I did not realize that. I actually forgot it. I forgot that it was there, and the hostas just took it over, and it wasn't getting any sun, so it didn't make it. So cactuses are very easily, you have to be very careful obviously when you're picking them up, but I scooped one up. I found it just laying. It had fallen off the other ones, and I just laid it on the ground. And here's another one of the lighter green hostas. Now, here I have a rose bush. My neighbors did not want to keep this when they were redoing their flower beds also, and we just dug it up to have some mondo grass down in there. Just took a chance that it might live, and honestly it still looks bad, but the leaves are now up. When we first planted it, for the first week I mean, it was just all drooping. I thought it would all end up like that and I would have to take it back out. But I think since these leaves have been up for a few days now, I think it's actually going to make it. And I'm going to let it go through a few more weeks anyway, and then I may start pruning back some of these dead limbs so it will give the other limbs a little more power to grow. And I'm trying to keep it good and watered, but I do think this one's going to make it, and I think I'm going to like it here. And then I have got some, let's see if I can turn this around without making you too dizzy. Okay, we have another area over here. One of my milk jugs has one away. We have another area over here that was a flower bed, and under this tree it was a shade garden bed. And my husband and I and my grandson and some of the other family members, we built the grandkids a play area. We built them a swing set, and Danny just finished up the slide this past weekend. But we have been slowly digging out what is keepable out of the flower bed. And these yellow flag irises have absolutely, they're still going. They're starting to look a little rough, but they are still going. And I think it is because we had a huge tree cut down right over there by my swing. I am, okay, this is a mess. It's an absolute mess right now. But my intentions, and this will probably come next year, this will be the backyard flower bed. See, I have all these rhododendrons, and I'm wanting to start trimming in under them to make them more of a tree trunk underneath, so I can get in there and turn that whole thing into a flower bed. And I'm going to put in a lot of hostas and ferns in there. And then I have an old clothesline right here in the middle. It had to be up that high on the hill for me to be able to reach it because it was down lower, and I had to, it was just hard for me to get. I'm short. But we had a huge tree right there in the corner of the house, and we had that cut down last year. So now it gets a little more sun in that area. I painted my swing. I wanted some color up in there, so I painted the frame white, and the seat I did sort of like a distressed teal. And I'm going to try to get all of that cleaned up. And Danny's building new stairs because our staircase is really getting wobbly. And then I'm going to start turning that whole area into a shade garden, and I'm going to make it to where the kids can play around in that area, because it's going to be all part of the kids area here in the back. But I am planning on digging up some of these irises, and I'm going to be moving them around the yard. They obviously like more sun. They did bloom even without much sun, but they are definitely blooming more with sun. So I've got a spot right over in that bed I just showed you, and I'm going to put a big clump in there. Now this is just all weeds and a few daylilies that we have dug out and not put anywhere. But when I get those put somewhere in the ground, then we're going to go do something with all the weeds and clear all this out, and hopefully put down some sort of either he'll have to plant new grass or put down mulch or something. And I just wanted to walk down here to the strawberry beds and show you these. We have a lot of fruit and vegetables on the property. This is my strawberry bed. Everything needs to be mowed. We have company coming this weekend, so he's trying to hold off on mowing, but he has sprayed for the weeds around the edge of the strawberry beds. But the strawberry beds are so full this year. It is unbelievable. We have flowers everywhere. We've already gotten a bunch of flowers that are turning into strawberries. As you can see, there are strawberries down in there. They're really looking good, and we usually have all kinds of little strawberries that will pop out and grow around the edges of the flower bed, or excuse me, the strawberry bed. So then Danny takes those and puts them back into the ground at where they are missing or some has died out. But they are really looking beautiful. The dew is all over them this morning. There is a great big old strawberry going to be turning soon down in there. I don't get to do a lot with these strawberries because the grandkids just simply love to eat them. So this is just sort of what they snack on during the day. There's strawberries all up and under there. And they will just, they pretty much go through the strawberries and just eat them, but that's fine. That's why we planted them. Okay, and over here we have our 2 raspberry beds. Now, Danny, I don't, I'm going to show you what he's done. It's an amazing system that he built here for our fruiting vines, but he has taken the plastic, this is decking that looks like wood, and we need to get in there and weed this out, but he has put this all along the bottom, so this will never ever go away. And then he built these frames out of just the big square post and 2 smaller posts, and he put wire in here with these little things so he can just tighten them up when the vines start getting too heavy and they start falling over. He can just tighten up the strings. Now this is a second bed. This is not our first bed. This is the pups from the first bed, and as you see, they're already fixing to make raspberries. They have already bloomed. And over here on this side is the first bed that he put out, and it is just full of raspberries. And we have some canes we do need to take out. We got to do a little cleanup on these, but they are amazing. You wouldn't believe all of the strawberries, all of the raspberries that we get off of these 2 beds here every year. And then we have just some different, we have apple trees, we have plum trees, we have pear trees out here, and then we have cherry trees up toward the front, which you cannot see them from here, but our cherries are good and full this year. And then down at the very back down here, you can see my garden area, which I didn't put on any shoes, and now my feet are really wet. This needs to be watered today or tonight probably. That rain that we got a couple days ago was wonderful. I think everything does so much better. Here's Danny's new carport we just had poured this past year, and I absolutely love it. So that's a little bit of shade. I told Danny it'd be perfect for having garage sales, so I'm excited about that. And then you can't see it from here. We have a huge tulip magnolia tree here, but you can see where it has dropped its syrup or sap, and it gets all over the driveway. Okay, let me just go in here and see what's coming up, because I haven't been down here since it rained actually. So we're gonna come down here and see how it's going. I know I need to come and pick some radishes and some onions. Okay, we're getting a little bit closer. Now I have a tote here with carrots in it, and I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm seeing very few, and it is probably just overly dry. I probably need to come down here every day and water this. I don't know if that's going to make or not. But I have out cabbages. As you see, I need to do some weeding or some hoeing down here. Hoeing is what Mama would have done. But I put in some garlic right in between the 2. And I've only got like maybe one little garlic left in here. So I wasn't going to weed it because I didn't want to hurt the garlic. But I might as well go ahead and do it now because it doesn't look like it's coming up. But cabbages, a couple of broccolis. I actually bought 6 broccolis and 6 cabbages. But as you can see, I've got all cabbages and only 2 broccolis. So somehow or another, when they were being put in the little containers that they put them in, they did not get the right things. So here I have the leaf lettuce, which I've already made one. I've used it twice, and I'm gonna get some more because I don't want my lettuce to start getting flowers yet. And I love lettuce, grease, and onions. It is so good. And here are my radishes, which are really looking good. And I definitely need to come down and pick some more of these. As you can see, they are growing very well. They are right beside each other. The rain kind of washed them all together, and I was afraid they wouldn't even grow, but they are. And then here I have some garlic that is coming up amongst the weeds. This side of the bed is just so much weedier than the rest. And I do have a few carrots down here that are coming up, and they're looking pretty good. And then I have, now I'm doing interplanting this year, or companion planting. I've never done this before, but that's why everything is kind of together. But I have a couple of little Sweet 100 tomatoes here, and then I have green peppers And I have green peppers in every other squash. And I'm going to just see how it goes. They're looking good. They're looking good. A little muddy from the rain, but they're looking good. I'm not seeing a whole lot of pests or anything on them so far. And I went ahead and got everything out a lot earlier than I normally do because we didn't seem to have as cold a weather this year. So I thought I'd go ahead and try it. My cats they're always following me down to the garden. So here they are. But let me see if I can show you. I also planted some flowers, some marigolds in between, and I also have some nasturtiums coming up around some of the flowers. I just stuck in some seeds, and this is a nasturtium plant, and I have them around the peppers, and I'm kind of excited to see these because I haven't ever planted nasturtiums before. And I planted a seed or 2 seeds on each side of the tomato, so I don't know if we'll get that many or not, but I have already started taking the bottom limb off of my, that does not look like a nasturtium. That looks like a cucumber or a melon of some sort. So I don't know what all I'm gonna have here. But I have already started taking the bottom limbs off of tomatoes. And that's usually how I do it. I start training them up a little bit so that there's not as many leaves on the ground to touch the ground and get more pests on them or mold or too much water. And I have out some basil. I probably should have put my herbs in pots. This is the first time I've ever actually grown herbs, honestly. So we'll have to see how that's going. The dill, we have some dill right over there, and it's growing pretty well. I have my cucumbers, and people will say that I'm doing everything wrong, but this is just what I'm doing this year. We have cow panel that we put up, and I have cucumbers, and I need to go in and start taking off some of those bottom leaves there. But I have a cow panel, and I have got cucumbers on this side of the cow panel, and then on the other side. And if you look at my dirt, okay, so this is what happened. I don't care for this. Okay, so I got a phone call, and I had to answer that. So okay, now in this area, and they haven't even started coming up, and I don't know that they will, but the whole edge of the flower bed before the rain, I kind of had softened it all up, and I took a few packs of flower seeds like marigold and zinnias and different things, and I had this kind of softened up, like I said, and I just scattered them out all through here and put a little bit more dirt over top. We'll see if they're gonna come up or not. I'm hoping they will. I just wanted to make it like a little, you know, wild flower area here. And I was saying I have cucumbers on this side of the cow panel, and this may not work, but I've also planted green beans on this side of the cow panel, and I don't care if they grow up together, just as long as they grow up. I want to get them off the ground. I have the hardest time keeping my cucumbers from getting that powdery mildew. So this is what I'm trying this year. I'm gonna see if I can't get them up. Usually it would just be the green beans on the panels, but I'm gonna try sticking the cucumbers on there this year and see if I can't get them to go. If not, I can always take just a stake. They have these plastic little rods at Tractor Supply that are not too awfully expensive. I thought I might stick down beside each one and let them grow up the pole if they did not want to grow on the cow panel. And then I have started my corn over here, which there are a few of them, and I have a bad habit of sticking my stuff too far down in the ground, and a lot of times I stick it too far down in the ground. So some of these are starting to come up here and there. We will see how many makes it. But as I was telling you before I got the phone call, this ground is crazy. As you can see, it is full of rock, but we had a huge tree cut down up here also when Danny decided to build his carport this fall, and there was a huge tree, and of course they carried in a lot of gravel also to make the carport, and he had them bring everything, all of the extra dirt and the tree bark mulch and the everything, even the gravel came with it. So I don't know, I'm surprised the stuff is coming up as well as it is. Honestly, it just worries me. I can't pick up every one of those rocks, and this has been my garden bed ever since we moved in. So he says the lime and the gravel will be good for it. I don't know if he's just telling me that or not, but we're just rolling with it. We're just doing the best that we can with it. Get out of there. The cat's trying to use maybe another reason the carrots aren't doing anything. The cat's trying to use it as a litter box. So anyway, that's what I have out in the garden area as of right now. And like I said, my first time doing the interplanting, and it's just pretty much putting everything together to try to keep out the weeds. The more stuff you have in the area, I think the less weeds that's going to come through. But we're going to try it and see. I've got some cardboard and some leaves that I'm going to be laying down and wetting and spreading out the leaves around the front bed that I showed you where I have all of the weeds. Now here are our blackberry beds, and we now have 3 of those. This is the original. This one actually came from my mama and daddy's farm. These plants are 30-40 years old probably. They planted them up on the farm, and when they moved back down to town, Daddy dug some of them up and brought them down to their house. And then when we sold that house and we dug up these, well, not actually these, but those blackberries, and brought them over here and put them in this bed. And then of course every year they send out new shoots, and they make new canes. So these beds are just absolutely full of flowers, and we do end up getting a lot of blackberries off this. And if that wasn't enough, Danny had a friend who had some, these are a little bit more contained. They don't have as many suckers, but now these, one of Danny's friends had these blackberries, and I think this is the 2nd year on these, maybe third, second, third. But they have not started blooming yet. They bloom a little bit later than Mama's, but this bed is absolutely running over with blackberries. And look how full it is. I mean, it is so full. And once again, he has done the same thing with the decking. And then this past year, he dug up the pups from around these plants, and he made this blackberry bed, and it is also huge. We won't get many off of it this year, but next year we will get a ton off of this one. And once again, needs to be weeded. We try to keep it weeded, but it is so hard. See, I can keep mine fairly well. It's not bad. And I've got an idea about going back in. I know it's really late to put lettuce or spinach out, but they get so much shade and under this bed. I thought about taking and just planting under it and just getting some seeds, some spinach and some lettuce seeds, and just sowing them in under this bed and just see what they would do. Packs of seeds aren't very expensive, so I thought I'd just give it a try and maybe help keep the weeds out. Plus we would get an extra crop of the spinach and the lettuce. And then this is our grapevines, which some of these are doing pretty good, some of them aren't. This one is looking really good. He is training these up to be on one main line so that they'll be easier to pick. But they have a ton of grapes on them right now, and the leaves are looking really good. Of course, the first things to hit these are going to be the Japanese beetles, and they eat them up every year. But hopefully we'll get some this year. And back again with the blackberries that he just put out. And just look, he just put these out, and we have got new shoots everywhere. This bed is going to be absolutely tremendous next year. I mean, there are new shoots everywhere. And like I said, I don't think we'll get any off of those this year. And he didn't plant these. And they're all in a row like little soldiers. Look at this. All of these, every one of them is just in a straight row. And he did not plant those. These have all just came up this year. So these blackberries are going to be amazing. And we do sell some of the blackberries, and we do sell some of the raspberries. So I will let you know when those are ready. And then we have blueberry bushes in the back, which I'm not going to walk down there right now, but you can barely see the tops of them above the boat there. But all along the back of the garage, we have big, tall blueberry bushes, and they are totally full also. Okay. Well, Thursdays is the day that we go to town and do most of our grocery shopping for the week or so. So I'm going to hop off of here. I hope I haven't bored you to tears, but I just want to take you on a little tour of part of my yard and part of what we are growing. The whole front, I have made a new bed around front, a woodland bed. I want to show you when I get that finished. But anyway, this is what we have for now. And I'm going to start huffing and puffing because we got to go straight up a hill. So I'm going to stop where we're at. And I hope you guys have a great day. And I would love to see what you have growing in your yards too. If you wanted to share with us, we'd appreciate it. And we'll see you again real soon. All right, bye y'all.